Finally, at long last, the Guardians are coming home to play a baseball game. The last team in Major League Baseball to play a home game this season. We'll talk about whether or not that's a good thing and what we want to see out of the Guardians on this first homestand with special guest Mike Chico Bormann on today's episode of Locked On Guardians.
Tanner Bagby of the Guardians, and you're listening to Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into another episode of Locked On Guardians. It is our favorite half hour of the day where we talk Cleveland Guardians. We hope it's your favorite half hour of the day too. Welcome on into our everydayers. If you're new here, I'm Justin Lada, and today we're going to be talking about, we spent all day yesterday talking about what was wrong with the Guardians. Now we're going to talk about the step forward. What are they going to do to get better? What do we want to see that's going to make us feel better about this team after 9 games? We'll talk about that, some early season minor league standouts. We'll take a look at the Chicago series. We'll share some fun home opener memories as well, because it is the home opener. Before we get into that, let me let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers, you can get $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. I'm Justin Lada, here with you today. Appreciate you guys being here. And I've been covering the Guardians minor league system since 2007, believe it or not. Past stops include Guardians Baseball Insider. I was the editor-in-chief, currently at the News Herald, the Morning Journal, and here with all you. And here with me today is Chico. You've heard him on the airwaves in Cleveland in years past, all kinds of places, and we're thrilled to have him on with us today. Chico, thanks for coming on and talking some Guardians. And this is one of the best pinch hitters we've ever had, I will say.
Well, Justin, let me say, and I've said this many, many times, so you know that I'm not just blowing smoke. First of all, it's an honor and a pleasure to join you. Love chopping it up and talking baseball, talking Guardians, but there are not many folks out there who you talk about what we do, and specifically what you do as a labor of love. There aren't many people with more passion for the game, and that's why you've always been one of my favorites, one of my go-tos, quite frankly. So, yeah, I'm humbled and happy as hell to be on with you today, bud.
Yeah, we've been texting a lot. Been trying to get you on. We've been trying to set this up for a while now, and I'm glad we're finally connecting. I love talking ball with you. I wish we were talking about a better-looking baseball team for once, I will say. We could be doing this on a higher note. The Guardians are finally playing a home game to start the year, or start this homestand. The last team in baseball to play their home opener, which makes sense because looking at the weather on Tuesday, it's looking pretty iffy, and the whole series is looking pretty iffy. So I think I was joking with some of our insiders. I was saying, like, oh, if they play, not just win 2 or 3 against Chicago, if they play 2 of these 3 games, that might be a good thing. But Chico, I spent a lot of time on Monday's show talking about, okay, this is not good. This is what I'm concerned about. This is what I'm not concerned about. I want to hear what you're concerned about, what you're not concerned about. We'll talk about some of the ugly stuffs. I want to know what would make you feel better, because a lot of people, I think, right now are on edge. It's only 9 games, and I got a point to make up for that. I know you are on the same page with me on this, but a lot of people are on edge after 9 games because even though it's only 9 games, there's a lot of sloppiness. There's some very ugly things that you don't want to become habit forming throughout the year. So what's the first thing you think, okay, if I start seeing this thing from the Guardians, I'm going to feel better about them at least staying afloat in April? Because the thing we know is you can't win a division in April. You can certainly lose it.
Sure.
And the Guardians were really good in April last year. They were really good. But what's the first thing you want to see that's going to make you feel a little better? Do you think will be important for other people too, that will kind of take them off the ledge?
Well, I won't speak for other people because, the fan base, they differ about what the issue is exactly. I think you said it a moment ago, Justin, and that is, if you're gonna ask me what would make me feel better, catch the damn baseball. This has always been a team, and certainly last year, and even if you go back to probably 2022, those were teams that they played clean baseball, right? They didn't have any of those blunders, many of those blunders in the field. They were smart on the base paths, stole bases. That they put pressure on you. I remember throughout the playoffs, how many times did you hear a lot of those guys say, like, man, this team just consistently, puts pressure on you, and they're just a tough team. They're a pesky team. They don't have that right now. We can throw out identity. Is it too early for that? Maybe. But I think more than anything else, I mean, go down the numbers, and just yesterday with Luis Ortiz was the first quality start of all the guys. And, hopefully he's going to build on that. But of all the guys to say who's going to be the first with a quality start this year, I wouldn't have picked Luis Ortiz, but at least they got one of those. But so the pitching staff, but man, behind them defensively has just been atrocious. I mean, even Jose with 4 errors. This is talking about a guy that's always in the race for a Gold Glove, and I think he'll be fine. But again, it just speaks to nobody's immune to it, and it's almost like one of those things. This as well as I do, and it happens in all of sports. Sometimes those things are contagious. And maybe it'll just be the home cooking. Granted, it won't be very warm, but they'll get their own bed. You mentioned the last team to play their home game, first home game. And look, any team, every year somebody's got to be that team. This year it's the Guardians. That said, I really think that hopefully that's going to do a lot to just kind of calm them down and get them playing clean baseball again.
Yeah, that is the important thing, is clean baseball. That's how they survived a lot last year. It was because, like you said, the identity is important. You're not going to have the same identity 2 years in a row. You can bring back as many guys as you want from the previous roster, but the identity is going to change. And that's, Stephen Vogt a year ago was a great manager. I'm not saying he's not a great manager now, but there are things you learn in year 2 that you don't learn in year 1. Like Tito had a lot of experience, and he knew that every year is not the same, that identities are different, and different challenges will come up. Stephen Vogt now is going to continue to see learning curves where he's got to figure out, okay, this year is different than last year. It takes time. Like just because you were manager of the year in year 1 and you navigated year 1 very well, doesn't mean there's not new challenges in year 2. I did say yesterday, every dayers will have heard this, I'm not worried about Jose's defense. I don't think magically overnight the Monstars came in and just took his talents away on defense.
Right.
I'm not worried about that. My big thing so far has been the stuff that doesn't show up in the box score. Like I was talking to our insiders. We had an insider chat before we recorded this with some of our insiders. I'll touch on that a little bit. But like there was a play in San Diego where I think it was Rocky or Arias, I can't remember who it was, didn't cover second on a play Jose made at third.
Yep.
And he wasn't able to throw the ball to second. And you could tell Jose looked annoyed. That's not an error in the box score. Luis Ortiz was out of position on a throw home from Quan on Sunday in LA for the cutoff. That's not an error in the box score. But those are errors. Those are miscues. Those are lapses. And you don't have a team that can overcome those things. So they got to figure that out pretty quickly. It was definitely encouraging to see Luis Ortiz put together his first quality start. And, we can go back and forth whether or not he should have been out there for the 6th inning. But he isn't the reason they lost that game. I'm not worried about Tanner Bybee. Yeah, he had a clunker in LA. It was not a good start. He'll admit that. It was the worst start of his career. I'd like to see Gavin Williams have a nice rebound from that start. If you could get Bybee, Williams, and Ortiz all in a row on a roll, if those guys can start pitching up to their potential back to back to back days, you can stack some really good things. You can give your offense time to come around. You can take the burden off the bullpen. And then you don't have to worry about the Ben Lively and the Logan Allen starts, because if you're going to win, let's say 2 out of 3 of those Bybee, Williams, Ortiz starts, that sets you up pretty good to win 2 more. And all of a sudden you're 4-3 in a 7-day week. That's okay for April. I know I'm probably setting a low bar here, but like, we're just talking about surviving April. We're talking about turning things around. So I think if you can get those 3 pitchers on a roll, it can really ease a lot of the other stuff you have going on. I have some things about the offense we can talk about, but I think it starts, you can't have 2 years in a row where it's Tanner Bybee and everybody else is a total question mark.
Right.
That has to start falling in line like soon.
Justin, you said something that was, I was nodding my head and I was about to write it down. Hopefully I do remember it. So the old man brain's still there, but you said that this is a team, and this should come as no surprise to anyone. There aren't many teams in baseball that can afford to play the way the Guardians have played to start the year and still win a game. But you mentioned it, and it needs repeated. This is a team that can't do that. They just can't, because we can talk about, the lack of power and the bats in the middle of the order, the bottom of the order, the fact that Bobby Williams, what about the rest of those guys? And we can talk about all different things, but the bottom line is this is a team that, what you can control, which is the mental aspect. And like you said, being in position, you're going to make errors. I mean, I'm not like you, and I agree. I'm not worried about Hosey's defense, but I guess my point to that was, when you start going like that, it just, sometimes it can be contagious. I think they'll figure that out. But one other thing, and you mentioned Terry Francona, and I'm glad you did, because you mentioned Stephen Vogt learning. And not to jump ahead of you here, but I know we were going to get to the offense. I think one of the things Stephen Vogt is learning right now that Terry Francona talked about a lot, and as well as I do, had to deal with a lot, is, okay, how do I take the right field situation. You have Jhonkensy Noel, who is a guy that can mash. I mean, we know that he can mash, and you're platooning him with Nolan Jones, and he was here once, then he was in Colorado, now he's back. You got to get a feel for him. But Tito would always say, like, when do you sit a guy like Noel? You say, well, he's a boomer bust guy. True, but you have to play him in order to get the booms, and you're going to have the busts. And I think right now, I've got to believe, Justin, that's something that in addition to the stuff we touched on, clean baseball and doing all that stuff, I've got to believe right now Stephen Vogt is going, my God, what do I do with some of these guys in the lineup, especially and really without question, the right field thing? I mean, I don't know. What is your answer for that? I'll pose that to you. What would you say? You've got to get a look at both of those guys. It is a platoon, but how do you navigate that? It's tough, and Tito spent many years with that problem.
Yeah, we'll talk more about right field and the offense, and we're going to talk about one thing, too, specifically that is not why the Guardians are off to a slow start, and that'll be coming up next. All right, the NBA playoffs are almost here. Get your bets in on the Cavs. FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I know the Cavs have had a little bit of a weird stretch here recently. The playoffs are almost here. You just want them to be healthy. If I'm a new person on FanDuel and I want to put a $5 bet in, I want to get that $250 in bonus bets, just put the $5 on the Cavs to win their first round matchup. That's all you got. All you got to do. They're not going to get bounced in the first round. I don't believe that. So that's coming up here soon. I saw someone put up the Guardians. They're like plus 380 or something to win the division. Still early. That's a long-term bet too. But FanDuel makes it easy to get in on whether you're picking a favorite team, diving into player props. After the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into same-game parlays for a chance to win big. So don't miss out. Head over to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Appreciate y'all making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day. Wherever you get podcasts, we're free everywhere. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple, Pocket Cast, all the places you get your casts everywhere. Please make sure you are auto-downloading so you never miss an episode. Please hit the bell on YouTube so you get alerted to every single video we do and never miss that. And if you like what you're hearing, become an insider. We had an insiders only video meetup tonight before we recorded this. So it was me and about, 13 or 14 of us. And we were just talking ball for an hour, talking about the home opener, other stuff going on with the team. It was a good time. So we're doing that. We're texting during games. We're, breaking news over there when we can. We're sharing observations and insights, some bonus content. So come over there and hang out with us. We'd love to have you over there too. Chico, you mentioned the offense. We'll talk about the offense in a second. There's one thing I want to bring up because I've seen a lot of comments on this, and I know you feel the same way I do. I'm not here to defend the Dolans or the Payroll. They're not giving me any money. That check has never come in the mail or my routing number. If they want it, they can have it. But I saw a lot of comments on Monday saying, well, they're bad because the payroll is low. The payroll is the same as it was a year ago. Carlos Santana is getting paid more than Josh Naylor. Now, you could debate whether or not that's a smart move financially. They spent money on Paul Sewald and Jacob Junis to help make sure the bullpen doesn't have the same cracks that we thought we would have, and they've had some. Let's be honest. They extended Tanner Bybee. It's not a money thing. And could they be spending more money? Yes, obviously. I would have loved for them to go out and not, cut payroll and add it back in later because they're coming off an ALCS team run. I'm not saying they should spend more money, but the reason they're losing this so far this year isn't payroll. It is the errors. It is the starting pitching. This is an organization that's supposed to be known for developing pitching. We're only 1-2 turns through the rotation, and they just got their first quality start.
Yeah.
They were able to get to October last year on Tanner Bybee, Hope and a Prayer, and Matt Boyd. That was your rotation last year. And Ben Lively. Let's give Ben Lively credit. He was good last year.
Yes.
You're not going to be able to do that 2 years in a row. But they went out and they added Luis Ortiz. They added some other pitching that is not healthy. It is not healthy right now. Hope it will be. Hope the Guardians are still hanging around by the time those guys are back. But payroll is not fixing these mistakes. They're not fixing, errors. They're not fixing the starting pitching you have that Gavin Williams hasn't carried from spring training, and Luis Ortiz has been not great, and Logan Allen's still not good, and the bottom of the order. We have to talk about the offense a little bit. I guess you could say they could have gone and got a right fielder. I don't know who that would have been.
Yeah,
I don't know who that would have been, but there are things that they're not doing well so far that are not payroll related.
Well, and the easy, we were just talking about right field before the break, and I know we're going to get into it now along with some other things on the offensive side. But yes, I'm going to reiterate what you said, and I'm going to parrot what you said. I apologize, but listen, I had somebody on Twitter, and I used to get this all the time, Chico Dolan. And Chico, I know you're on the Indians payroll, or the Guardians payroll, excuse me. I know you're getting guys, I wish I was. I wish I was. It's not that I'm not going out on a limb defending Paul Dolan, but I do think we can recognize a great organization. Baseball is what it is. Okay. It's set up. It's ridiculous as far as the, we've been saying it forever, no salary cap, but forget about that for a moment. Okay. They have been a quality organization. Last year, I keep hearing, last year was smoke and mirrors. I don't think that was smoke and mirrors. You had a great bullpen. Now, did I expect the bullpen to be that good? No, I had no clue. We didn't even know who Cade Smith was. You did, of course, because you know all those guys. I didn't know.
I didn't know he was going to be that good.
Yeah, exactly. And so, really none of those guys. But I think when it comes down to the, it's payroll, they're cheap. It almost seems like that's the lazy excuse, the lazy narrative for those that just don't like A, baseball, B, the Guardians, C, both, all of the above. And there are great fans out there. It's a small percentage of the fan base that says that. But folks, you got to get over it. And yes, if they were to spend more, end this right field stuff. But I think they're waiting. They've been Chase DeLauder hurt again. I mean, we'll get into that, I'm sure, but it's not going to be resolved by going out and paying big bucks and getting that big guy and that big name player. It never has been. It never will be, I don't think. And you want to invest in your guys. They've done that with José Ramírez. They've done that with Tanner Bybee. I totally understand Emmanuel Clase. I totally understand people with Andrés Giménez. And I get that, man, that's a Gold Glover. And we're talking about defense. That guy's the best. Was that in part a money move? Absolutely it was. There's no question. And I don't blame fans for being frustrated with that, but I wonder, Justin, would Andrés Giménez still be here if he had the power that the Guardians thought they saw and would continue? Would we be having the conversation? I think he'd still be in this lineup. The fact of the matter is they felt like they could use some money elsewhere, that money elsewhere. It was a big contract. They loved his defense, but the offense wasn't justifying that. Some teams can eat that and go, well, no big deal. He just play, platinum, second base or wherever he's at on the diamond. He can be great. Guardians can't do that. So, I get the payroll thing. I'm as frustrated as you are at times, folks, but it's not. It is not the reason that this team is 3-6 to start the season. I mean, come on.
No, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it can definitely cover for some mistakes. And yeah, we're talking about defense here, but like Gabriel Arias, I think he has like one bad play, and maybe Jimenez doesn't make any bad plays. That's fine. But the reason he's not here anymore, you're right, is because of offense. And Gabby's offense hasn't really been part of the problem yet. Do I believe he's going to sustain what he's doing offensively right now? I don't know. I don't necessarily believe that. But
Yeah.
Jimenez isn't here because of his offense, and second base is a position that we're looking at other players for. We're going to talk about that in the third segment. But like Carlos Santana, off to a decent start, 745 OPS so far. Normally a slow starter in April. He's been okay, and you're paying him more money than Josh Naylor. And like I said, you can debate whether or not that's a smart move, but that's why he was brought here, for some stability. It just stinks that like Juan's doing his normal thing. Jose's looking great offensively so far. Manzardo's off to a great start. Only home runs off lefties. It's Santana's been okay. It's 5 through 9. There are holes in the lineup so far. Bo Naylor hasn't figured it out. Lane Thomas has been a disaster. I spent a couple weeks of February spring training saying, I think Lane Thomas is gonna have a big year. He still could, but he hasn't really given me a whole lot of confidence so far. So I'd like to see Lane Thomas start to hit. In right field, you're hoping that Nolan Jones has taken some walks. He's got better bat speed this year. He's one of the guys who's increased their bat speed from last year this year, which is a good sign for his health because he battled a lot of health issues a year ago. So maybe it takes some time for him to get going again. Yeah, you got to keep playing Noel. You're going to have to, because he's going to be one of those guys that runs hot and cold, and the only way you're going to get him hot is if you play him. You can't expect him to sit on the bench and get hot for you. So they are going to have to run those guys out in right field, and they're going to have to figure it out. One of those two is going to have to get hot, because right now, it's 3 or 4 guys in your lineup, and everybody else is just kind of figuring it out right now. Lane Thomas has got to be one of those guys that steps up to me.
There's no question. Yeah, I said that from the beginning of the season, which we're only 9 games in, by the way. But yeah, I said the same thing. You mentioned Carlos Santana. I mean, the fact of the matter is with Josh Naylor, let's face it, if he was going to stick around, he was going to be looking for big money, and he was going to be looking for big money, and most likely as a designated hitter. I mean, he's not, you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't, you had Manzardo, you traded for Manzardo for a reason. You like Manzardo. Naylor's just, I don't want to say he wasn't a fit. Of course you can use that bat. And quite honestly, I think Carlos Santana is kind of miscast in this lineup. He's not a middle of the order bat. He's one of those bats that if you have, 3, 4, God forbid, 5 guys that can mash, well, he can get on base, he'll walk. But I think they had to look long-term, which is a lot of times what they have to do to keep this thing running the way it's been running.
Yeah, and I guess you could say that is a payroll thing, but it's as much as trying to
reality in baseball
and trying to, it's the threading the needle thing, right? It's trying to put a winner on the field each year, but also trying to manage the long-term health of your organization, all that kind of stuff. All right, we're going to talk about some minor league standouts early in the year. I got some guys I'm going to bring up. We're going to talk about one prospect everyone wants to hear about. I'll ask Chico about that, and we'll talk about some other guys. I do have a solution in right field. I do have an idea for right field. So I'll talk about that. I do have an idea for right field. And
all ears.
We'll talk about some home opener memories as well as we get out of here. It's the home opener for the Cleveland Guardians. Hope you're enjoying the weather. Hope you're enjoying some baseball. Hope the Guardians are winning. We got more to come on the home opener edition of Locked On Guardians. If you're fueling your body up for a workout, for a sport you're playing, Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers NSF-certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients is also partnered with two-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. I got my strawberry limeade pre-workout right here. Really good, clean taste. Just a really nice, simple taste to it. Not overpowering. I love the taste of the strawberry limeade. I always love that flavor. Fantastic from Just Ingredients. And the best thing they tell you about here, all the ingredients. That's my favorite thing about this company, is they tell you exactly what's in it, what's not in it, and it tells you exactly what you're doing with it. They are committed to good, clean product, good, clean ingredients, and they tell you exactly what you're putting in your body. I think that's important today. So visit justingredients.us, use code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off. And for more wellness tips, follow at just.ingredients on Instagram. All right, Chico, I promised you a solution for right field. It's not a solution for right field tomorrow.
Okay.
But how about this?
But I'm impatient. I want it tomorrow. Home opener.
Well, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it won't matter. But there's this guy. You might have heard of before. His name's Travis Bazzana. He's pretty good. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yes.
Travis Bazzana is the future at second base. There's another guy who's off to a good start in Columbus who has played right field before that, could play some right field, and that's Juan Brito. If Travis Bazzana is the future at second base, he's going to pass Juan Brito up, whether it's tomorrow or September. Juan Brito doesn't really have a defensive home. He's not a good defender anywhere. He's played some right field, but obviously the Guardians don't care about defense, right? The defense is terrible. You just need some offense. If you consider putting Juan Brito in right field in AAA and seeing what happens, because you got Gabriel Arias right now. You can bring up Brito, play second base if things don't go well, but you're waiting on Bazana. I would say let's see if Juan Brito can handle some right field. What's the harm? He did a little last year. He's not a plus defender anywhere, so you might as well find a spot where he can impact you offensively. Maybe it's right field. He is off to a good start so far.
Okay, so let me ask you a couple of things here. We'll start with Juan Brito. Juan Brito didn't have a great spring, right?
Yeah, he was better towards the end, but yeah, he got off to a pretty bad start. He put a lot of pressure on himself.
But he is doing well now.
Yeah.
Is he? I guess I don't want to be. If you're gonna bring a Juan Brito up, and this is what I think fans and we all just kind of like, oh God, is he going to get a chance every day? And I'm not blaming, Vogt. I never blame Tito. Like, this is what the front office has given him. And they want to say, like, hey, we want to give this guy enough at bats so we can get a good read on him, but also, hey, we got to win games. That's not easy to navigate. Better than I. Is Juan Brito? Now, we said that defensively. I know you said that tongue in cheek. I can't have a hack in right field. I like Juan Brito too. He seems to be, but let me ask you real quick. We mentioned Andres Gimenez in that trade, and I talked about how, the idea of if his power was what they thought it was when they signed him, he'd still be here. The idea of Bazana and, of course, getting that number one pick, who could have dreamt that one up, but they did get him. They did get Bazana. How much did that play into the Gimenez trade as well, in your mind?
I don't think it did at all this offseason. Maybe in future off seasons, but like you said, if he was hitting, he'd still be here. The money they were paying him wasn't that much. So I think if he was hitting, they would have felt like that cost was more than reasonable. Now maybe next year you reconsider that, but he kept going in the wrong direction offensively. So I think it purely had to do with Andres' offensive performance and less to do with Bazana. Because Jeff and I were convinced that if Andres Gimenez was still here, Travis Bazzana might be in center field. Like they might have made that move. So that could have been the option. So
yeah,
I don't think that was really it. Quickly, let's look at some other standouts. Obviously, everyone heard about Travis Bazzana. Chico, the question I want to ask you this, and I'm gonna throw this up on the screen here if you're watching on YouTube real quick. I just want people to see like this screenshot of Travis Bazzana's swing from Saturday. Look at the angle he just creates here. It's so impressive. Like this guy, this is a home run to left field. His first home run of the year in AA. He just gets his barrel so perpendicular to his shoulders, and it's down the middle and it's away a little bit. And he creates that angle. He is so good at getting the barrel to the baseball at difficult angles, and he hits that for a home run. So impressive. So Bazana's off to a good start. How much are you paying attention to Bazana this year, and how loud do you think the buzz is going to get? Because you, Chico, in your many years in this industry, you have heard all the prospects. You've heard the Francisco Lindors, everybody else. How loud do you think the buzz is going to get for Travis Bazzana before too long if he keeps that up?
Well, it'll be loud regardless. You'll be hearing it a ton regardless, because he is a number one pick. He is, and he's a likable guy. That clip, I'm glad you showed that frame there. The guy's an absolute craftsman. Like, I hope people realize, this, how hard he works at, just everything about his swing and his entire game. Now, that said, how loud will it get? Well, it could be ridiculously loud if the Guardians continue to struggle, if the defense continue. Like, Rocchio is an enigma right now for me. And I like Rocchio. I thought coming into the season, like, you saw him come on late, and then in the playoffs, he had some big at-bats. And he makes good plays. Like, he's a great athlete. He'll make a great play. He'll look like Ozzie Smith or Omar, and then not so much. So I think it all depends. Bazana is going to create a buzz anyway, but I think do they get cleaned up as far as, the defense, as far as, Rocchio being more consistent. You mentioned Arias. He hasn't been the problem. I don't necessarily think he's the solution long-term, but I don't think they do either. I don't know. I mean, I think they see a Travis Bazzana. Can you see a position switch with this guy? Is that what you're calling for?
No. If Jimenez was still here, I would have said yes. But now that he's not here, there's no reason to switch at this point. Because if Cleveland's in contention by September, he should be their second baseman. And Juan Brito should be in right field. No, maybe Chase Lada.
What about Jonathan Rodriguez? You are the prospect guy. So I'm going to ask for the fans out there as well as myself. What about Jonathan Rodriguez?
I don't see the approach working either. He's got a worse approach than Noel, and he's not as good as an outfielder. And I just don't buy the translation. Some of the projection systems love him. I'd be happy to be wrong. Like, seems like a good kid. There's power. He just hits the ball on the ground too much for a guy with a lot of power. AAA pitching is just so different. The Clippers have a hitter-friendly ballpark. I just don't see him with the kind of approach that's going to apply here, unfortunately. Let me throw out some other names real quick. So Parker Messick, he made his first start last week, up to 96. We saw him throwing 92, 94 in the spring breakout game. He had a good first start, was a little bit limited due to pitch count, but solid stuff. He's throwing 96 now. That's a revelation. You can go back and listen to our episode with Parker Messick. Braylon Doughty made his first outing. I can't stress to you how impressive it is that the Guardians tapped a high school pitcher to make his pro debut on an opening day for a minor league team. Guy's in high school a year ago. He gives up it's an error. He fails to cover first base on the next batter. The next batter gets a hit, a run scores, comes back, and he strikes out the next three in a row. He strikes out 6 in the first 3 innings. This is a kid with a lot of poise, two breaking balls with a lot of spin, super tight. Fastball 93, 95. I can't tell you how impressive I saw the start was for him, for a guy whose first career pro start coming out of high school. Just so impressive. Austin Peterson through 95. He was 93, 95 in his first start. He was limited due to pitch count too, but he struck out 4 in 4 innings, allowed 1 hit. I think he's a guy. I don't think we'll see him this year. I think we'll see Messick. I don't know about Peterson, but I do like where that's going. Andrew Walters has walked a couple guys, but he looks like a guy who should be in the bullpen soon. We didn't have time, Chico, to get into Tristan McKenzie, but that could be a whole conversation for another day. And then Jacob Zibin, 2-year delay. He hasn't pitched since 2022. High school arm that they paid like a first rounder, but he was a 10th rounder. Finally made his pro debut after multiple arm surgery. It's good to see that for Jacob Zibin. Chico, let's end on a good note.
Yes, real quick. This is why I'm so into you, bro. Because I don't know about those guys. You just filled me with knowledge. Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope everybody else appreciated it too. Let's talk home opener memories. Give me your favorite home opener memory. I've got two. So give me your favorite home opener memory.
Okay, I wonder if we're gonna agree on this one. For me, I was at the home opener, the game that got snowed out. Grover is Seattle's manager, and look, everybody loved it to this day, and they should love Grover. But that day we hated Grover because the human rain delay, which is what he was known for as a player with the batting gloves, making sure that, and he knew what he was doing. Like, I'd want my manager to do the same thing he did, but the reality was that the then Indians were essentially an out away, right? I mean, if I remember right,
2/3. Yep.
Bird was on
the Bird, no hitter,
and then the snow came. I mean, it was terrible. And then, of course, the next day, I think they were like forecasting almost 2 feet. But that one was just hilarious because it was vintage Grover, yet it was so just bizarro world because it's like, wait a minute, we love you, but you know what? Right now, we can't stand you, Grover.
Everyone saw that coming. I was at that game. I was in high school. That was my senior year of high school. I was telling some of our insiders that. And I was at that game sitting in the bleachers. Yeah, it was brutal. I knew as soon as he came out of the dugout, Chico, I knew. I was like, he's trying to stall. They need one more out, Chico.
Him and Wedgie kind of wasn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if their faces were red because it was cold or if they were mad, but man, I knew as soon as I saw him, I was like, no, he's going to stall and they're going to call the game. Like, we need one more out. Like, Paul Bird, get up there and tell him to go, do something. And then they didn't play at home for another week because it just kept snowing. And oh my God. Oh, and I was telling our insiders too. I was like, I don't remember. I was in high school, so I wasn't drinking, but I was like, I don't remember how we got home because it was so cold and it was so much snow. And my buddy drove, and I was like, I don't remember that trip home because we were freezing so cold. It was a disaster. So at least today it won't be that bad from that perspective. My favorite home opener memory, this is a personal one. My dad took me my first home opener in 98 against the Angels. And I said, I think I was obsessed with Jim Thome. This is why I love baseball today. I was obsessed with Jim Thome. And I said, Jim Thome is going to get a home run to win the game. You know what he did, Chico? He hit a home run to win the game off Troy Percival because the Indians made Troy Percival their favorite punching bag of the 90s. Is he in the Hall of Fame? I can't remember if he's.
And he was Troy Percival was a damn good closer.
He was, and he was their punching bag for the 90s, man. They crushed that guy.
You're right.
And Thome hit a home run to win the game. It was my first home opener. And then from 05 until last year, because the eclipse, we didn't go because we thought it was going to be a traffic nightmare.
Yeah.
Save for 2020. I went to the home opener from 05, not 2020 because of COVID. And then I didn't go last year. So from 05 to 2023, I went to every home opener.
I had a streak going very similar to that. It ended basically when I moved back here to work because I had to work usually on those days. But when I was working in PA, would not miss it. I mean, for 8 years, whatever straight, it really is a holiday. I mean, it really is and it's going to be great today. I don't care what the weather is. It's going to be great. And hopefully they get a W. But, man, that's a good one. I love that one. That 98 story is classic right there.
Yeah, that was good. It was good times. This was good times, Chico. I appreciate you, Jerome. We'll have to do this again, bud. You got anything you want to say to the fans? You got anything you got anything you could tease us with? Anything?
Okay. Well, I am working on something. ChicoBormanShow.com. If you go to it, it's like the renovations for Progressive Field, which we're also going to see today, but not quite as. I don't know if people are going to be as awed by my site or by me, certainly, as they are with the new stadium. But ChicoBormanShow.com. We are aiming for end of the month, right around the draft, Cavs playoffs, Guardian season. I miss it. I really enjoy the fans, even though, the last 2 days we've been going at it with the whole, Paul Dolan, and it's they're cheap and the Browns and Jimmy we trust. But yeah, I hope to be on the air very, very soon in some capacity, and obviously reacting with the best fans anywhere, even though they do get on my nerves at times. But I get on their nerves too, so it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, we do it. We have fun. We do it out of love because we all love the same
Right.
sports. We love Cleveland. We love the Guardians. We just want to see them all do their best. That's what we all want at the end of the day. No matter what that means, we all have the best intentions. Chico, I appreciate you being on here with me.
Thanks for having me. Seriously, man. I love your work. You know that. And anytime I would love to join you.
All right. We'll hope to have you back on. Tune in tomorrow. Jeff should be back. We'll have a full recap of the home opener. I'll be frozen. I'll be sitting here like this doing the show, but it'll be a lot of fun. I won't feel as bad if they win. Let's put it that way. Shane Smith on the mound for the White Sox. Ben Lively for the Guardians. He'll gut it out. Shane Smith has a good changeup, so it's not usually a good recipe for the Guardians. So we'll see what happens. But tune in and we'll give you our thoughts on the home opener. Jeff and I will be back together on that. We'll have Chico on again soon. And you'll be here with us because you guys love us and we love you, the best fans in the land and best Guardians fans out there tuning into today's broadcast. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you download, rate, review, all that good stuff. In the meantime, go Guardians, go. Bundle up, but enjoy yourselves responsibly.